Hey everybody, welcome to This Week in Data, your guide to modern data culture, brought to you by Pragmatic Works. I'm Adam Jorgensen.
And I'm Devin Knight. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about what does pizza have to do with the cloud?
Okay.
Yes.
We do film around lunchtime.
Yes, it's true.
So that's a good topic.
We are actually going to talk about this.
How is this going to work?
We'll see. You'll see. But first, as always, we're going to start with a couple of news items.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Good.
So first news item I have for you, which is pretty exciting, is that Microsoft Azure is doing some significant price cuts in some of their different levels of platforms for VMs, so virtual machines. Depending on which
saving
level.
money.
Yeah.
That's good.
So the goal here, obviously, be more competitive with the competitors like AWS and others.
Yep.
And so different tiering prices are going to be even up to as much as 50% of what they are now, depending on what tier price. So obviously, some of the slower ones and things like that are going to be the cheaper ones. But very interesting to see that they're obviously staying competitive with some of the other folks out there. But what do you think about that?
We work with all the different cloud platforms.
Yeah.
And from what we see, price is usually not an option once we get into the real nitty-gritty of what's happening. But that's because most people wind up not really paying sticker price because they're negotiating and they're saying, I'm going to buy more or less, etc. And so I think what Microsoft is trying to do here is say, look, we're going to negotiate less, but we know we give these kinds of discounts already.
Yeah.
Let's be transparent about it and help everybody understand that, they can be a lot more cost-effective of an option than some of the competitors. So I think it's a good move.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, too, don't even realize that they likely already own a lot of Azure credits, too, with their licensing agreements that they've already set forth. So
that's a good point. So they get more out of those credits now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll help increase adoption. Maybe that's what Microsoft's working on.
Yeah. All right, so the next story I have from you is kind of the sad state of society part of the internet.
Okay. Is this a Craigslist story?
Pretty close. Might as well be. This is a story about Tinder.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone's favorite dating app.
Okay. It is my favorite dating app.
Yes.
Not my wife's favorite dating app.
Anyways, here's the story. So the headline is, Tinder can now automatically figure out your hottest photo to get you more matches.
Oh, really?
Yes. So Tinder is launching this new feature called Smart Photos, which will figure out which is your most attractive photo and then reorder your profile so that you're going to more likely get matches.
Interesting. So maybe you could try like different facial expressions or different angles or, very up close.
Yep.
Very far away.
Yes, we had...
some people look better up close, some people look better far away.
Do you know anyone that actually uses Tinder?
I do know a couple people who use Tinder.
Okay.
Yes.
I know one person,
have
probably the same person.
Some single employees here at Pragmatic Works who use Tinder.
Yeah.
I don't think that same person uses it anymore that you're thinking about.
They do not. Yes. The one I'm thinking about, she would send me some funny things that she would say. She would screenshot them.
Yes.
Surprisingly, a lot of guys like to dress up as clowns.
Really?
Yeah, especially a bad idea now with all the clown news. But back before that was
still a bad idea.
Yeah, still a bad idea to try and get a date.
I feel like no one's ever come to me and said, this guy looks great.
Yeah.
Check out this clown outfit.
They were specifically making Joker ones, the older Batman one, not the new Jared Leto one, but where he kind of cut his face look to it.
That's a very... So that, first of all, that's medium Joker.
Medium
Joker is Jack Nicholson.
Yes. Yes.
So let's be clear.
Yes.
So our viewers don't get upset.
Right.
But that's a very niche audience. I feel like the goal of something like Tinder is to be able to quickly see lots of different people that might fit some criteria that you're looking for.
Right.
I don't know if they have a filter for favorite Batman villain. That would be a very specific filter. We can talk about its effect on its data design and all that later. But
well, here's what Tinder says that Smart Photos they've been testing it, and the results are increasing matches to about 12% more. So evidently it's working.
So that might actually take people to 12% of matches.
Yeah. Yeah. The total of 12% matches from the starting point of 0.
Right. What would be interesting is if they could also, as we let this turn into our entire topic for the day, what would be interesting is if they could make recommendations for your photo.
Yeah, like less face makeup.
Blurry a little bit more, or
Less
your
cats.
hair looks better long. Less cats. Yes, less cats.
That's a good idea.
Why are you shirtless and holding a gun? These are all pictures we've actually seen, folks. So
Yes. Not from our, we don't have Tinder profiles.
we do not have Tinder profiles.
The funny thing is,
I don't.
so the funny thing is, I didn't either, so I was asking someone that did, is you have to have, your Tinder profile has to match up to your face. You have to have Facebook.
Oh, right.
And so these are
it
the pictures they
validates.
have on their Facebook, too.
Yes.
So this is like
These aren't
grandma
like
seeing.
secret matchmaking photos.
Right, grandma seeing that you with your Joker outfit on, and is probably fearful for her grandchildren.
Maybe that family just has different things they like to do when they get together. Everybody has their thing, Devin.
Moving on.
Okay.
The last story I have for you is actually an interview from Information Management. That's a website. And they did an interview at the Strata and Hadoop World Conference that was in New York City. And I thought there was a particular interesting interview that they had where they highlighted in this interview people's immaturity still with respect to big data and Hadoop solutions, especially considering that it's been in the market in flight for a number of years now.
Right.
And yet the immaturity in those areas is still pretty high.
Yeah, I think we see a lot of people where they know that's part of the solution and they're trying to put it together, and I think that will go a little bit along with your pizza topic today.
Yeah.
But I think that they're still trying to figure out how that works. I think we've seen more adoption now where those solutions integrate a lot better with relational platforms.
Yeah.
So things like Polybase or, things like that where, we can bring data in. We don't have to do so much work necessarily in the big data or non-relational environment to get the data to line up and work together. And I think that we saw there's kind of over those 10 years, we went from a very, very small number of people who could actually work with that technology, and that is, grown steadily. And
Absolutely.
so you're also starting to see a larger volume of people who can actually implement it and help companies make traction. And I think it took 5 to 7 years for that audience to really sort of get traction and begin to develop. And so, it's not going to get adopted or rolled out if there's not enough people to actually do it.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Speaking of which, we do have training, big data training.
We do. We helped a lot of those people.
We did, yes.
Move forward.
Yes, you're welcome.
Yes. You're welcome, America. Your big data is safe with us.
All right, so on to our main topic of today, which is what does pizza have to do with the cloud?
You keep saying pizza. I keep thinking there will be pizza here. There's not pizza here. We're just talking about technology. So I need you to explain yourself and tell me what the heck is happening with this pizza as a service.
Right. So this is a pretty popular analogy. I actually really like it.
Which because I've never heard it. Is this just you're just saying this is very popular? Many people are talking about this.
All the people are talking about
many people's.
Yeah, many people's
websites.
Yes.
I'm kidding. It is a very popular analogy.
Yeah, and the idea is it's to help people understand, especially people that are new to the cloud, understand kind of the different levels and entry points into working with the cloud.
Right.
All the way from not working with the cloud at all to just having on-premises solutions only to maybe having an IaaS or infrastructure as a service solution where you've started to put some maybe of your virtual machines in the cloud.
Right.
To a point where you're going more of a platform as a service or PaaS, where maybe you're using services like Azure SQL Database and things like that, and there's some probably new services that are going to come soon as well. Azure Machine Learning would be an example of a PaaS solution. Yep. And then finally, kind of the all-out, I'm fully vested in the cloud, which are SaaS solutions, which are software as a service.
Right.
That would be things like Salesforce or Microsoft Dynamics Online, things like that, where it's all in the cloud. There's nothing you have to install anywhere locally.
Right.
It's fully managed, fully controlled on the cloud. So where the pizza part comes in is it's a good analogy to help people understand the differences between those 4 different aspects: on-premises, IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a maturity model.
Yeah, exactly. So here's your pizza analogy for you.
I'm ready.
All right, so the traditional on-premise solution. All right, you ready?
Ready.
Traditional on-premise solution is you live in like Sicily and you have your own family recipe for pizza.
That sounds amazing.
You have your own brick oven that you bake your own pizza in. You do everything from beginning to end, from making the pizza dough, graining the wheat, all that stuff, putting it in the oven.
That's a little less good.
Yeah. Can we just get to where I get the pizza?
Right. I'm happy if somebody else has all of those things.
Yeah.
I just get the pizza.
And this
There's a step for that later, right?
Right.
Okay, good.
Right. So it's the idea of putting all of it together, including also having the serving table to feed people. It's everything. You do it all is the idea of the on-premises or more traditional solution that people have thought of in the past.
I got to admit, that sounds like a lot of work.
Yes. So no cloud involved in this example.
Okay.
All right, so then the next kind of tier up, the next step up is an IS solution, which again stands for Infrastructure as a Service.
Okay.
And this is kind of that take and bake option.
Okay.
So think of this as like going to get DiGiorno pizza, or maybe if you guys have Papa Murphy's, where you go pick up a pizza, everything's made, and then you just use certain parts.
We bring it home, and we only have to do part of the work.
Right, exactly. So think of it like this. So a vendor manages, in this case, the pizza dough, tomato sauce, toppings, cheese, but you support the dining table and sodas and electricity and that sort of thing to get it to be made.
Gotcha.
So you kind of stepped in. Again, we'll talk about how this applies from a business perspective in a moment, but you're kind of partially in. You're doing some things in the cloud.
Okay. That makes sense.
Then the next step here is a PaaS solution, or platform as a service, which is even a deeper step into the cloud.
Okay.
What you're doing with this, here's your pizza analogy for this one. This is your Pizza Hut, Papa John's, Domino's, whatever your choice of delivery mechanism is.
So it's being delivered.
It's being delivered to you.
Cooked pizza,
cooked,
already been made,
heated, ready to go, ready to eat. You just are basically supplying the dining table and drinks.
Okay.
So it's a very much further step back. You're not having to cook it like you would a DiGiorno pizza that comes from the freezer.
Right.
It's much more taken care of and just delivered to you.
Gotcha.
Then you have really the full service option, which is software as a service. That's SaaS. Okay. And I give you a couple examples of this, like Salesforce.com, Microsoft Dynamics Online. There's a lot of other SaaS solutions out there.
Right.
But this is everything is done for you. This is you go to a pizza place that you sit down, you order at their table, you order from a waiter and say, I want, you're maybe Chicago, you go to Chicago pizza style place.
I want to do that.
Yeah, I shouldn't have brought, this is a bad topic.
We have both been there, and it's delicious.
Yes, exactly. But it's going there, having someone take your order, hand it to you at your table, you eat it there, they pick up your mess, they do everything for you. You absolutely do nothing but eat.
They had all the infrastructure, they had all the tables, they had the oven, they had all the electricity, all the materials to make the pizza, the people to make the pizza.
Right.
They knew what kind of pizza people would want.
Yep.
We just show up. We have delicious pizza. We pay for the pizza that we consumed.
Right.
And nothing else.
Yep.
And then we left.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's a great way to pull it together for the business perspective here too.
I like that.
So so that's from the pizza side of things.
Okay.
All right. So are you ready?
You also enjoy delivery.
Yeah, I do too.
So everything has its place.
Yeah, exactly.
Except maybe me doing the wheat that part. I don't know if that part has its place.
So let's tie it in with from a business perspective here.
Okay.
So we talked about the traditional on-premises solution being you do everything, like you just said, you do the wheat and stuff.
Right.
That's how you probably did BI solutions or just applications in the past.
Right.
You did all of it in-house, even if you got contractors to do it. It was all developed by you or by someone that you've had a team of to do, and it's hosted in a data center that you have. It may even be on site with you. It may be somewhere that you share, but it's in a data center that you control or have some control over. That's the first one. That's on premises. Now the IS solution, the infrastructure as a service, this is where the idea of taking like virtual machines. So if you're doing VMware or Hyper-V, instead of doing those on your infrastructure, actually doing those inside of Azure or whatever the platform is that you prefer.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's really no different than hosting VMs on premises. It's just hosting them in the cloud. And then the nice thing about that, you can very easily fluctuate what kind of resources are being used for them and boot them down, boot them off, even automate some of those things very easily.
Right.
The next one here is PaaS, or Platform as a Service. So this one is, a good example of this is like something like Azure SQL Database. I told you that one earlier, or Azure Machine Learning, or a lot of the services that are in Azure that allow you to basically use their infrastructure. Let's say, for example, we're using Azure SQL Database. They will manage all updates and patches and things like that for you, and you're just building your solution on top of a database.
Availability, backups, all those kinds of things are taken care of.
Right.
You get a database that you know you can rely on.
Right.
And you pay for a certain amount of performance, but you're using that as a part of something else.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. And then we've given this example a couple times now. The SaaS solution, that's your Salesforce.com, Dynamics Online, that sort of thing.
That's where you're hitting the web portal.
Right.
Everything's behind the scenes. The app is running in the cloud along with all the components that make it up.
And often applications like that have APIs that you can tap into and pull data out of there easily. But yeah, it's all managed by them. It's storage is done through them. So exactly.
So if I was, a DBA or a developer or sort of a manager, what's an example of how this pizza analogy, this sort of transition between, all the bake it and own everything myself on-prem to maybe some take and bake, delivery, or complete software as a service, how does that impact me?
Yeah, so I think if you're trying to make some of those first steps into Azure or just cloud in general, you could easily take some steps from existing VMs that you're using. That's one place that we see a lot of people make their first step in, is that infrastructure as a service, because they're still really doing everything like they would traditionally do on premises. It's just stored in the cloud as opposed to stored on their SAN or whatever it may be. So,
and they also get a lot more flexibility.
Exactly.
Scale up, scale down, save costs, those types of things. So they get to explore that. If your VM's running on-prem, it costs the same all the time, whether you turn it on or turn it off.
Right, exactly. So that's where we see a lot of people move first. They might take a VM, put it up in Azure, and start to do it that way. They might also create a new machine out there. And the nice thing about creating machines, I'll talk specifically about Azure for this, is they have a lot of templates out there already pre-created that even include licensing. So say you want to have a development SQL Server. You could pick a template that already has the things you need for SQL Server installed on it, and then the licensing cost for SQL Server is baked into the price for the VM as well.
And when it spins up, all the tools installed, you're ready to go, and you've got your machine within a few minutes.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Absolutely. One other quick example, we sort of brought this up before from a PaaS perspective. So PaaS would be like an Azure SQL database. Again, the idea here is rather than you having to be the one to patch it and do updates and high availability stuff, that stuff is taken care of for you. And you just build your solution on top of that. Very common to see like website databases that are the back end for those databases, or application databases are now moving a lot more to the cloud and doing things like PaaS with Azure SQL Database as a way to be able to create a database very quickly and ramp up.
And we're also seeing, kind of a combination of those two examples where somebody may have, like you said, a website, right? So they have web servers running in VMs on-prem. They have database or databases running in the back end, and storage and queuing and all those components, right? Well, they can move that up into the cloud very quickly in an IaaS environment. So in that VM, just port the VMs, and then begin to take piece by piece over 6 months or 12 months and scale out the database, and then scale out the app servers, and then scale out the queuing and whatever other components there are, and then begin to think about how their app can be redesigned using all the new services like analytics for intelligent apps or those types of things. But for most people, their first step, like you said, is to an IaaS environment or testing a new service. That's one of the PaaS services like Azure Machine Learning, Cortana Intelligence, Power BI. Even
that's a great
more software
SaaS,
service. So there's a lot of great opportunities for customers.
Didn't even bring up Azure SQL DW as well. Another PaaS solution. So a lot of neat ways that you can start to get involved. Whether it's a new application you're doing or trying to migrate old stuff over to it, there's a lot of great options for you.
Absolutely.
So that's it for this topic today. So what I would recommend for you guys, if you haven't already, is to make sure you subscribe to our blog. Also, what are we doing with Azure?
We're doing so many things with Azure, but we've actually just finished building a very unique program with Microsoft. We're the only partner that's able to deliver it this way. We have workloads across modernization, compliance, advanced analytics, BI, Internet of Things, Power BI, where we can come in for a week at no cost to the customer for a week. Not just a 3-hour session, but actually come in, put somebody on site for a week and do planning, help them build a roadmap, get some hands-on training with the Azure workload of their choice, and really leave them with that in-depth experience after a week of having planned out what they're going to do with IaaS or PaaS or SaaS platforms, and have a roadmap, cost estimates, all those kinds of things, right? And we're also able to do something even better. We can stack those. So let's say your team needs to do modernization, but you also need to do analytics, and you also need to do Power BI. Don't just pick one.
And all three of those can be free.
All three of those can be free through our unique partnership that we've created with Microsoft through some special programs. So they're called Fast Start programs. So it's a Pragmatic Works Fast Start program. I would encourage you to come to our website, check those out. and we'll put a link to it in the show notes.
Yeah. Like I said, also make sure you subscribe to our blog at blog.pragmaticworks.com. Hey, thanks for joining us again at This Week in Data. Feel free to also place a comment in the video and let us know, in the audio, and let us know what you think and what's other topics we should be thinking about. What are you doing with Azure? What's your first step? Or just cloud in general? Maybe you're using AWS. We'd love to hear from you guys. And I want to thank you again for visiting, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.